All right, I'm back. Let me crack a drink real quick. I don't think that got picked up by it. Oh well. I got a Dr. Pepper here. Mm, that's the good thing. I got three whole sheets of paper here because I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about? I haven't talked about something like a real topic for a while. I was like, what's a topic I could talk for a while about? And when I settled on, well, actually, no, wait. First, we got to do the weather first. It is nice out, like genuinely quite nice out. I am wearing just like shirt, pants, full on. It is sunny. There's no wind. It hasn't rained in a little bit, or actually it rained last night, um, but not a whole lot. Like generally, it's just nice. It's like a nice, comfortable temperature. It's a little cloudy, so it's not like terribly, terribly sunny. Like it's just nice. It's just nice out. It's very awesome. Huge fan. And I think it's supposed to get only better. I hope you can. I don't know if I should say hope. There are birds chirping. Like it's full on. Like this is the first week in a while that it's been like, yup, this is spring. This is very spring. But anyway, the topic today is all about moving because I've moved a number of times recently. Honestly, once I started moving, I've moved about once every year. But we gotta. It's gonna be a really funny episode because I'm gonna be just trying to describe a lot of things that would make that be a lot easier visually, but I'm gonna describe them and talk about them and stuff. So, um, we're just gonna start with my home. So my home that I lived in for most of my life, for my childhood, I actually lived in it for basically the first 21-ish years of my life. It was an odd shape. It's got kind of two bump outs and then like a corner cut off if you're taking a rectangle. And it's a really weird shape. It's like just beyond goofy. And the reason for that is because it's got a dormer in it and it's like in the almost attic space. So it really doesn't have a ton of like flat roof, like flat ceiling. It has a lot of slants in it. And then it's got the dormer, so that's got that part. I had two windows. It was, the door was on like this weird slanted wall. It was very, very strange. Um, but yeah, it was very silly. My bed in it was I had a normal bed for a while, and then I had three different loft setups that my dad built into my room. The first one was across the room in a really weird way, so you had to like duck under it to go to the other side of the room, but it was designed like Yankee Bridge because I liked baseball for like a very brief portion of my youth. So he did that. It was pretty cool. But it went across the room, and then eventually I grew so that it was like kind of annoying to go underneath it, like duck under it to get to the other side of my room. So then he rebuilt it off to the side a little bit taller, so it was kind of like it had bookshelves and stuff underneath it. And then eventually its last kind of iteration was up in that same position where it was, but up a bunch higher. And it was I only had like 2 or 3 feet there, so it was like a crawling space to go to bed, and that was fun. I really liked that. Huge fan. And then eventually I decided that I didn't want a loft anymore. And so I got a real bed that my dad picked up off the side of the road for free, is what he told me. And it was like a wooden frame and it had like the drawers underneath it so that you could kind of have drawers, and that was fun. And it perfectly fit into one of the bump outs. So I kind of shoved it in there and it worked pretty well. Um, I also had a desk in my room. Um, and the first desk I had for my first computer was I had a Windows XP computer that um it was not very good. It was Windows XP though, and I had these three bins that I have all my Legos in them because at this point I was kind of transitioning from Lego nerd to computer nerd. And I took all of the Lego bins and I put this piece of essentially veneered plywood on top of it, and then I just put the whole desk setup on there, and I would just sit crisscross on the floor and use it as a computer. And then eventually my mom got a new desk, so I took her desk, but it was outside. So I had my laptop on it, and it was outside of my room and outside of my two sisters' rooms in this kind of like shared space at the top of the stairs that wasn't really anyone. It was kind of like just big hallway. Um, so I had my desk out there for a little bit before. moving it into my room against everyone's will because they knew that I wouldn't come out once I did that, which is true. And then I moved it around a number of times while I was in there. It was a really nice desk. It was small, but it was a really nice desk. And I changed my room around a lot. My bed, despite me saying that it fit really nicely into that one of those bump outs, I did change it probably 8 or 9 times before it landed in that bump out. And then like my dresser changed around, my bookshelves changed around. I realized later, or realized really like not too long ago, but I realized that I changed my room around so much, partially due to me being a neat person and I like to stay clean. And one of the easiest ways to stay clean is to just rearrange, because it kind of forces you to clean everything. But more so is I realized that I changed my room whenever I was either sad or stressed or felt like a lack of control. And so I would rearrange my room, and then it would feel better, and then I would kind of go around to fix whatever I needed to fix. And um, especially during college, like the 18 to 21 uh, range was especially dubious, where I would change my room essentially at the start and end of every semester because it was always stressed or sad or just feeling something, and so my room changed a lot, especially then, and like it only like picked up speed. Um, so this I know this was that was all one room, but the reason I have to start here is because I actually have, and the reason why I'm good at moving or I've moved, like I feel confident in my moving abilities is that I moved a lot as a kid, but not in the way that people who say that normally mean it. And by that, I mean my parents had a summer place, and I'm aware of what that paints my life to look like. But my dad very truly believes in not helping me. That's not true, but uh, it was something that I was very used to. Was we had a home, so my uh, house that I just talked about was the room of the house that was mine, and I never changed room. My sisters both changed rooms. My parents changed rooms. I was always in the same room the whole year, the whole bit. I don't know why. They never let me change for some reason. I kept trying to get out of it into different rooms, but they never let me take those rooms apparently. But uh, and that home was in Connecticut, and in New York, um, we had, it was 3 hours away. And whenever it was nice out on the weekend or it was the summer, we would go up and we would move kind of our entire lives from Connecticut to New York. So I had my Connecticut friends and I had my New York friends. And that was something I was very used to and was very much a part of my life for the first, especially early on, because I didn't get my first phone until I was like 13. So like, or 13, 13, it was like eighth grade. But like it was very disconnected. Like I had two very different kind of lives. um at that New York house, it was on a lake. I know, I look at me, I grew up with a lake house, but it had three buildings on it when I was younger, and it still has three buildings now, but my parents are going to tear most of them down to put up their house that they're going to retire into. But it had a houseboat, which was not insulated, had no plumbing. It had electricity, and it's like literally over the water. The roof is always, it's to my knowledge, it's always been as bad as it has been, but I know that it wasn't. It currently has tarps on it because it leaks that bad. Like it's not in the greatest of shape. There's the cottage, which is also known as the upstairs. The houseboat was the downstairs because like the lawn is ever so slightly pitched towards the lake, so like we think of them as separate floors. And the cottage, all on one floor, it's got a it's got like you walk in and there's the dining room, and then you've got the kitchen, and then you go up two like small steps and you're in the living room, and then there's a one bedroom, and then there's one bathroom, and that's like the main bathroom of the entire property. And then there was at one point a bathhouse with a bathroom, but that got ripped down so that my dad could put up a small bungalow that was year round and had a bathroom that was always on because we turned off the water everywhere else. But the bungalow, it's just a bathroom and a bedroom. But it's the only one that gets heated year round and like has a baseline of heat and like has water. It's got a very tiny kitchenette that they put into it. But um, and there's also lots of uh, yard to run around, and it's like it's on a lake, so like I can't complain that much. I literally wrote that down. I wrote down can't complain. But like moving your entire life 3 hours away from a lot of your established life is very difficult when you're trying to maintain friendships and be a person and have a life and make plans, and especially when I couldn't drive, that was a big thing. And uh thinking about it right this moment probably contributes to why I just don't even try. But so those were my two homes. I would kind of go to one, I go to the other, I go to one, I go to the other. It's like whatever, who cares. During um the start of COVID, once COVID kind of hit in March and stuff of 2020, whenever that happened, um in uh basically once we were able to, uh because I had online school, my younger sister had online school, and my older sister, she was like job hunting or something. I forget exactly. Actually, no, I think she was already there. But we kind of all moved up to the lake early, so to speak, that summer. And we all moved up there, and I believe that was also the when I built my PC for the first time, was up at the lake. Um, but I'm very used to moving is the thing. It's like and I, as I grew up, as I hit like the 16, 17, 18, I grew very complainy about it. My younger sister, my older sister, they were very like okay with moving, and like doing that like switch. But for me, it was very hard to like, um, not to do it. Like driving 3 hours is like really easy for me because I'm just used to doing it. And like I can go on 5 hour trips. Like we've done 14-hour drives. Like I can do that. But the what's it called? The like act of moving myself for prolonged periods is always kind of sat wrong with me. Where it's like I would love to go to the lake. I love visiting the lake, but the like the physicalness of it all, it's like I don't want to be that far away from everything else, especially when it's like something like, hey, if I can't bring my computer, and then I can't do this work and whatever, or it's I can't bring these friends necessarily because I don't have enough room for them, and it's like it becomes this weird chess game that I can never win because I suck at chess. But so that was like my whole, that was like most of my youth, and I stayed at home much longer than I anticipated because, or I anticipated staying there for quite a while, but not quite that long because I was like, oh, I know that I'm going to stay there for college because college is college and I don't want to pay for it. So I'm going to live at home. And then I was like, well, eventually I'll get like a like apartment nearby maybe or something, but then I never did. And then COVID hit and everything got pushed back. And then my grandpa Bob, he's my dad's or my mom's dad, my grandpa Bob, he um we moved him before COVID and stuff. We moved him twice in 1 year essentially. Was we moved him from his house that he owned to a like an old person's home and a retirement home, like an aided living type situation. And then he decided that he didn't like how people kept dying there, so he wanted to move out. So my parents bought a condo, and they got a mortgage for the condo, and so that it would be easier if and when he passed, that it wouldn't be like a whole thing to like get in our name to like do something with or whatever. So they bought a condo and they kind of essentially rented it out for really really cheap, to Bob. Uh, so I say all this because the title of this section is called Condo Bob. Um, but Condo Bob, dude. Anyway, but Bob himself, to better explain why his place was set up this way. But Bob was a very silly, very old, very goofy a very fun kind of old man. He was had hard times walking around. Um, like he truly like his feet like didn't have feeling in them very well. Like my mom's feet are already starting to go, which means my feet are probably gonna go eventually. But like and he like so he didn't have very good ability to do that. He smoked for like 50 years, so he had very hard breathing, and he was he was old. He was like 82, 85 or something. He was very old. Um, and he also did not eat well. The last like decade of his life, he ate like frozen microwave meals and what's it called? I wrote it down. A lot of ice cream, a lot of candy, and like these awful sandwiches that he made. He made these ones. He made them so many times. We would take a bagel and he'd toast it. I don't even know if he toasted it. And he would put cream cheese on it. And one time he ran out of normal cream cheese, so he put like strawberry cream cheese on it. And then he would put a slice of salmon on it, like just not like uncooked, just like salmon. Or maybe they were cooked already, pre-cooked package. I don't know. Apparently, I looked it up after the fact. It was a normal thing to do, but like, what in the world? Like, he did not eat well. He did not take care of himself, and the fact that he lived as long as he did is honestly kind of a miracle. But um, anyway, but he wanted to make things. He really wanted to make things, but like in DIY like slash derogatory, like all of the stuff he made, it was like you did not do enough research before you made this, but okay. And also like his tactile feel was obviously going. Like he was old. Like you couldn't really fault him for it, but like he definitely wanted to do things that he just couldn't quite do. But I kind of love it anyway. Like his desks were made out of just like boards that he just put on top of top cabinets because they were cheaper than base cabinets, and they were like low key gonna fall over and kill somebody, but like I didn't really care. It was condo Bob. Um, he loved to talk about things. He had this one joke. I'm gonna say it, and it's not gonna work because it's a knock knock joke, but I'm gonna say it anyway so that it's on the internet. And um, because it's just his favorite joke. But um, essentially, his favorite joke all time. Also, he liked to draw like smiley faces on thumbs and stuff. He was a classic old person. But his go-to knock knock joke was always knock knock, who's there? Dwayne. Dwayne who? Dwayne the bathtub. I'm drowning. And I I struggled right then, right there, to not lose my mind because that's the funniest joke I've ever heard. It truly nothing has ever topped it. But he loved to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. The top three are Adler, Tarzan, and North Dakota. Adler being Alfred Adler, the like psychologist, or I don't know what he did. Uh, I I listened, but like not well. Tarzan, like the books, not the movies. He liked to complain a lot about how bad the movies were. The squirrels are making a lot of noise, and they are scaring me every time. Um, and then North Dakota, he's where he grew up. And so he talked about North Dakota a lot and how it's like the major export of everything somehow. It's like, did you know that all of the potatoes in the world come from North Dakota actually, and not Idaho? And did you know that they have the best education system despite having three people in the entire state? It, you would just say insane nonsense about it. But um, next page. Um, but yeah, he lived like he wanted to, and it was awesome. And in the fall of 2020, after essentially like a year or so at the lake, I moved back home for the fall semester, and then all classes were online. And also, in like what's it called? It was like it was a weird. I forget exactly. It must. I think it was just the fall semester. It was like my fall semester. I was gonna live with Bob in the condo, um, because all my classes were online. If he had just gotten out of the hospital for something, and he was have struggling, so it would be easier if I was just there to just help him out and stuff. And I was already doing like weekly visits to just like clean and stuff for him because I'm a good cleaner. And I kept joking that I was a French maid. Um, uh, and like I would go like every week ish after class at one point, and I would because it was nearby the school, and I would just like help out, clean up, do what I got to do a vacuum or whatever. So I was just like going to be live in and just kind of assistance, and he was going to pay me X amount for it or whatever. And I was always very very apprehensive about being paid because it felt really bad and very exploitative, but like it wasn't because like he like told me he was gonna pay me and like I had already agreed to it and I was like, but not the point. Every room, so the condo was set up very silly because it was Bob, condo Bob. Um, every room had bookshelves or shelves or something for storage, like the desks or whatever, because he had so much stuff. And so everything felt very tight. So the already small condo felt even smaller. So like the dining room, so you enter the building, like you enter the door, and you've got off to your right, or no, sorry, off to your left, you've got like a door that's like to a small closet for like whatever small closets in front of houses are for, like shoes and I don't know, coats. But then directly to your right, there was a dining, like where the dining room's supposed to go. Except he had on the two walls that kind of bordered it, just all bookshelves full of books. So the space for the dining room was much smaller. So to keep the hallway, like the passagewayness of it all working, the table was scrunched pretty close to the like bookshelves. So only like two of the four chairs even worked. And not that it mattered because there was only two of us in there, and to be fair, the table was always covered in like shit. But um, like it was the dining room just had very little space, and then the living room, the entire so one wall had the TV and like some shelves and stuff on it, and the other wall like across from it, rather than having the couch on it or whatever, he didn't have a couch anyway, but that wall was all also bookshelves full of books. So it's like, okay, well now you got to put your whatever you're going to sit on for the TV closer, which is going to make the fit space feel smaller, and then also you're going to have these weird hall like your walking paths are going to be really small in weird spots, but whatever, Bob. And then his all his living room had in it was a lazy boy, which I still have, and two office chairs that he didn't use anymore. And that was his sitting arrangement for the living room. The sun just came out. It's so nice. It's like absurd, actually, how nice it is right now. It's like glimmering off the lake. I'm sitting by the lake that I'm currently at, not the one that I live on and the summers, or I used to. But like, gee willikers. Anyway, yeah, the living room had a lazy boy and two office chairs. The master bedroom, or what's supposed to be the master bedroom, he had as his office because he liked doing stuff at his computer more. So he had a desk for his computer, and then he had a desk for craft making, which is the one that I kind of commandeered while I was visiting, and I put my computer on, so that I could, still use my computer and do my schoolwork. And then I set up a cot next to it to sleep on, which definitely didn't ruin my mental health at all. And what's it called? Yeah, and so that was the office, and then I had a bathroom off of it and like a big walk-in closet. It was a master bath or a master bedroom, and then the second bedroom was across the way. So like we entered into like the living room, dining room, and then you took like a left to go to the master, and then if you took a right down the hallway, you'd get all the way at the end of the hallway is what was is supposed to be like a second bedroom, but he just had it as his main bedroom because he was just one guy and he didn't care. And then if you don't go the full way down on your right, there's the first right is actually where the washer dryer was, and that room also had a bookshelf, which made it really, really cramped because that was like the overflow pantry, and it was awful, and I hated it. And oh my god, it was so bad. And then the next right was the bathroom, like the hallway bathroom that had a big old jacuzzi looking tub in it because he's old and he couldn't like stand in showers for too long, and he also couldn't get into bathtubs, so it's one with the door on it. But the water heater didn't have enough water to like actually like fill it all the way. It was very silly. Um, and then the kitchen had just like shelves everywhere, and it was always a mess, and it stressed me out. And actually, if you really want to, you can see the kitchen in the meatloaf video. It's where I made the meatloaf video. Is because and Bob was there. Bob was home when I made that. I just took out my phone and silently made a meatloaf and recorded it, and I thought it was funny. And Bob was just like taking a nap or something. I think he was literally just napping in the lazy boy. But um, that was the condo, and it was very silly, and I just kind of like lived in one room, and I would like cook and stuff. It was very, very silly, and we'd go shopping together. We'd always go in my car because he drove like a crazy person. And it was very, very silly. um, and I realize now we're going to backtrack a little bit. I didn't talk a lot about New York in the sense of where my actual room was, And so I want to talk about that. So all of the bedrooms were on the houseboat because it didn't have plumbing or anything. So like it was just kind of like how it was originally set up was different, but essentially it was one kind of big main room that was like a pseudo living room plus the bedroom for the kids, and then it was another room that was the bedroom for my parents, and that's all. Like it was just two big rooms, and that was it. And each of us, by the end of it, each kid had their own bunk bed, so we could all have like a guest up at a time, like a friend up. And then there was like a futon or like a couch for people if we needed to have space. And then up in the cottage, people could sleep on the pull-out couch and stuff. It was very nice, very very fun stuff. But um, I was always on the houseboat until it got to the point where um, I wanted. I made a pitch to my father. I was like, "Hey, what if I slept in the bedroom in the cottage because I don't think I need I don't exactly remember how I pitched it, but I was like I need to do that, and they were like okay. So I had a cot in there. By saying the word cot is how I remember this, by the way. But I had a cot in that bedroom when we had taken out the bed, and there was like a desk in there and like probably something else like I don't know, I probably put a TV in there or something, but that was that. So I did a couple places while in New York, but after the condo, after what is it? After Condo Bob, after I did my semester with Condo Bob, and he was getting better, and my semester ended. I bid farewell to Bob, and I was like, "Hey, I'll still see you every week because like I still clean for you." But it was at the point where I was like, "I need to go back home. I need to kind of reset myself." Um, and you're doing better, so I'm not worried or anything. And this was like uh just I think it was just after Christmas or like just before just like it was a weird it was like early January or something. It must have been. And that would have been 2021. And then I continued to do stuff for him. I would just do stuff for him. I'd stop by. I was always the one that was like happened to have stuff going on near him, so I'd always stop by, and my mom would stop by, and blah blah blah. But and this next part's very sad, but I have to mention it because it's relevant to the whole story of me moving around and stuff. But about a year later, in February of 2022, Bob passed away. I was one of the last people to see him. He passed away. I checked in on him, and he was no longer with us. But I checked in with him on I went to go check because This is the order of events. So I stopped by on like a Monday or like Sunday. Maybe there was like a snow day. I don't know something. But maybe it snowed, and we went up. Me and my sister. We went up to the condo to see Bob and check in on him, and then also to shovel his car out because he can't do it. So and like the condo place isn't very good at it. So we went up. We parked. We went over to his car. We moved his car. We shoveled. We parked his car, and like we talked to him. I sat down with him for a bit. I sat down with him for like an hour, and my sister was like begging me to leave because she didn't want to be there anymore, which is fair. Like he talks very boringly, and um, and like that was that, and then and like before that, like just like a week or so before, I had sat with him for like an hour while we waited for the people to inspect the chimney, and then we hand them the check, and then they go, "Your chimney's good," and then they leave. Condo associations are very weird, but and like that time I just like sat with him and talked about like sci-fi as like a medium as like a genre for like an hour, and like we just chatted. We just sat in the living room and chatted. But it's like I visited him a lot, and so we visit to do the clearing. He seems fine. He's watching a movie. He's chilled. He's got like a sandwich or something on him. Probably he's chilling, right? He's doing what he's good doing. And we stay for a little bit. We say our hellos and stuff. We do our thing, and then we go. And then like 2 or 3 days later, I'm going up to school to do something, and my mom says that she wants me to stop by because um, when her brother went to do the weekly call with Bob, he didn't pick up, and then the other brother tried to call and he didn't pick up again, and who knows, maybe Bob fell over again, which I've gone to pick him up multiple times. Like it's something that happens. He does fall over, but I go up, I knock on the door, no answer. I open the door because I got a key. I go in, lights are off. Or lights, actually, I think the lights were on. But I poke my head in the office where he normally is. He's not there. I walk on down to the bedroom. I knock on the door. I go in, and he's no longer with us. And so I make all the calls, and it's a whole thing. But um, so he passes, and then in sometime in we have like the whole funeral and all the things, and it was very sad. Um, and I told many stories to all of my family about all of the silly things that Bob had done. Because and then everyone else also told stories about all the silly things that Bob had done because Bob's crazy. But then we also started to clear out the condo and get rid of all the stuff that seemed like it needed to get rid of, and all saved all the stuff that seemed like we should save. Um, and then, because it had been something that my parents had talked about, is the reason they had bought the condo is for when Bob either needed to be moved back into an assisted living place, or when he passed, the goal was for either me or Georgia being my sister, shout out Greg, um, my younger sister, to move into it as like a kind of jumping off point for life and stuff. And we did not expect it to be that soon, but um, in June of 2022, after we had cleared out a bunch of stuff and we had done all of our things, it became condo Simon, and I was there. And we took Bob, and who's cremated now, in a nice little urn, and he went on the mantle, and he stayed there, and it's awesome. And now my parents have moved in. They Bob is still on the mantle. We still haven't gone and planted him in North Dakota, which is what we plan to do. We just haven't gotten out there yet. So he's still in the condo. Still, it's honestly still condo Bob. But anyway, so condo Simon. So me and my buddy Tyler, so that we could split rent, because my dad was going to charge me rent even though the mortgage was already paid off. I don't, that guy's silly. I get why he did it, but also like, bro, I needed that money. I was very poor. um, but me and my buddy Tyler, we set up in there. I moved in first, and then he moved in kind of later in the after the summer kind of happened, just before school started in the fall. And I was doing, and I had to drive like really far because it wasn't very close to where I was doing stuff at the time. It was very silly, but not the point. Every room felt way bigger and open after we got rid of all of the bookshelves. So when you walked in, we had to arrange a couple ways, but the way we landed on it was, we walked in, and um, we took the door off of the closet so that we could put a like small rack in there for shoes and stuff. It was awesome. And then our main space, or the dining room, was just, it was literally the same furniture just without the bookshelves, and it was so good. It worked awesome. And then the living room, I put a couch in, that my dad had did, because he got a new couch, but he kept the old couches and then gave me one of the old couches, and it's just like a love seat, but I still have it, so like screw him, lol. It definitely, like, I need a new couch, but like it works still, so I'm keeping it. Um, but I had that, and then we had the lazy boy, obviously, and then I already had a, what's it called? What is that thing called? Where, like, what is that thing called? I'm like losing it. Um, Coffee table. It's a coffee table. Um, but yeah, I had a coffee table and like a TV and stuff. And then um, Tyler put his stuff in the guest bedroom, and like had a desk set up in there. And then I had my desk and stuff in my room. And I kept like it had like kind of big like a double door to the master. So I just kind of kept them open all the time because I didn't care. And I Facebook Marketplaced a desk and a table for my room. My desk is the one that I still have. It's 3 feet deep by 6 feet wide, and it's huge, and I love it. And it was $50. And then I got like a crappy table to put like all the printers and stuff on. Because Bob, by the way, had like 8 printers, and in his youth he ran like a printing company at the like ripe age of 8 or something. And I still have one of his printers. It's awesome. It's very nice. It was like an $800 printer. Um, but that's like another one of his interests. But um, let's see what do I got here. But lots of furniture was the exact same, but we just um, but like the lack of a lot of extra clutter made the space feel way bigger, and it was very nice. Um, and I was there for about a year until the end of the following summer, where I moved into the place I have now, which is a cabin in the woods. and I moved into I moved into the woods. Hilarious, and that's part of why I'm able to do this podcast outside is because I've got like 500 acres here to just kind of mess around. Not that I ever go very far because I'm afraid of bears and stuff, but I have the ability, and especially when I don't have a guest to go out with, you know. But I moved into it because it was free rent and free utilities, and I don't have money. I only just got a real job. Like when I got the basically as I got the cabin in the woods, I got the job. And then it's free because I have to do a little bit of work for the weekends because for the property, there's people come in on the weekend, and I've got to basically manage and make sure that they don't do anything wrong to make sure that the actual person who's in charge of the property, the ranger, to make sure that he is not just like always cluttered on the weekend and can't get any actual work done. And so I've got to like send emails and like grease people. It's not too bad. Do I want it to be over? Yes, but is it bad? Not really. The cabin that I'm in was not really designed for this. This is kind of like a new program that they're doing, and so it's not the greatest. And by not the greatest, I mean it's the best. No, but it's a cabin that you can live in it. You can't obviously be in it. It's an all season cabin, but it's meant more for like the 6 weeks in the summer when the camp runs as a camp, and in the what's it called, and for like weekends when groups are here. So it's kind of got like a really small living side, and then it's got like the side that it is, which is it's designed to be a health lodge, so like a health like a nurse's office. So um, essentially, um, where am I? Okay, so on the cabin, like on the living side, the cabin side, you enter the door and you've got a couch on your right and a table on your left, and that is your living room and your dining room. And then on the wall above the table is a TV. And that's that. So like that's your living room, dining room, and then you walk forward a little bit more, and like this entire time your hallway, like you're basically in a small hallway that is no bigger than a hallway, and it is the living room, the dining room, and you walk a little bit more, and it's also the kitchen, and it's all in this one short room. And for the kitchen, if you're still oriented from walking the door, you got the couch on your right, table on your left. You walk forward, the fridge is on your left, along with two shelves for pantry space and a cupboard up above on the far wall. And then on your right, you've got the stove, and then the world's shortest countertop space, and then a sink, and then a little bit more countertop space, but it's all for drying dishes. And then it's got above and below storage, and that's my entire kitchen. It's insane. Um, and then off to the side, on the left, there's two doors in that room that lead off to one leads off to the guest bedroom, one leads off to the quote unquote master. It's just like a room. They're literally the same size. It's just how I have it oriented right now. And then if you continue down that straight path from the door, like the door entrance, down past the couch, down past the kitchen, you get into the bathroom that has the shower and stuff. So it's like wahoo. That's the living side. And then on the nurse's side, you have another door. That's actually two doors to get into the nurse's side because wheelchair access. But um, you walk into one of those doors and you're in the nurse's office, essentially, like the main, like the infirmary, like you're in the main area. There's a bathroom on the back wall. There's a closet full of a bunch of supplies. And then and that bathroom just has a toilet. And then there's also a what's it called? There's a kind of a back room for like with beds and stuff for resting, and then there's another bathroom. Speak of the ranger, he just stopped by and asked me what the heck I was doing. Um, I'm gonna be real. I don't remember where I was in this whole explanation, and I didn't re-listen to it because I forgot that I could do that. Um, but I believe I talked about the infirmary room is where I'm at, so that's where I'm gonna start. If I am well, we're just doing it. We're running it live. Yeah, but the nurse's side has the nurse's office with the closet and stuff and the bathroom, and that's got the infirmary section with the beds for resting and stuff, and then that room also has a bathroom off of it as well. So technically, the nurse, like the whole building is a 2-bed, 3-bath, but two of those bathrooms are half bathrooms. and only one of them is actually like an actual bathroom. And but what I've done with the place is I've done my best. Um, so the nurse's office is essentially my office plus a second living room, to like give myself a little bit more space, a little bit more places to chill and stuff. And I also added one of those shelves in the kitchen so that I've got a little bit of space, so that a little bit more extra pantry space, because the amount that I had just wasn't enough. And I've kept it really clean to maximize space. I switched out the dresser in the bedroom to allow more space and a little bit more flexibility, because I turned like how the bed was like facing. I really hope no bugs crawled into this drink while I was away. I talked to the manager for like an hour by accident. It's one of those things that happen when you live in the woods. Like once you get talking with someone, because you don't talk to people very often, you just kind of talk. So it's one of those things where you can't really fault them for it. But it's okay. It was a fun conversation. And it was only mostly embarrassing for me. Um, but yeah, the nurse's office is essentially where I have my office space, and I have my desk in there and stuff. But the big question, the big like idea is where to next. And it's a good question because before the camp season starts this year, I've got to move out, which is in like 2 months. So I've got like 2 months, not even. I got like a month and a half to find a place to live. And I don't know about you, can't find a house that quick, but I got 3 questions on the page and I got 3 answers, and then we're gonna talk about dinner. I'm almost done with this whole thing, surprisingly enough. But um, the answer is where to next. Why do I move once a year, and will it ever end? Where to next is most likely I'm gonna move into a basement. The basement being that of my boyfriend's parents, because they said they'll do it for free, like crazy people. I don't know why they would agree to this, but they said that I could live in their basement for free, um, which is really nice of them, and I really do appreciate it. Um, and it's very unlike, not that my dad has the space to do it, but very unlike some certain person that I'm blood related to would do for me. Um, he would charge me. My dad would charge me. But they're like, you know what, you can do it because we want you guys to be able to save money and buy a house, which is really nice. But um, why do I move once a year? I don't know. It just kind of happened. Like I was just like the situation would arise, and I'd be like, well, I can do the change, might as well, and then I'd jump on the change, and then I would do it, and then like a year later, something else would happen, and I'd be like, well, I might as well do this, and then I'd be like blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, I move once a year, but the goal is to put a stop to that and to end the trend where the goal is to move in to the basement and then save aggressively, slightly more aggressively than I have been, because I've been trying to pay down a lot of debt, mostly the student loan debt. I've been just trying to shove money into that. So that'll be that. I'm getting called by my boyfriend. Look at that. That's so funny. I'm gonna have to stop that. But the goal is to, to save aggressively and, spend less than a year or less there, and find a house. And the will it ever end? It's like, yeah, it will end. I want to buy a house. I want to move in there. And the deadline is kind of a fake one. It's not a real deadline. I want to spend less than a year there and save up enough to buy a house. Devin or no, I'm buying a house within approximately 1 year, because it's one of those things where it's like I've realized I've come to terms. I am thinking about it. I already saw one house. I have a realtor now. Like, I got to do it. Anyway, what's for dinner? It's goose. They keep freaking doing stuff. Oh my God. Never mind. It's not goose. It would be really funny to eat goose, though. But no, the goose aren't for dinner. The for dinner though is probably chicken. I don't know what I'm gonna make with the chicken. We might do a chicken parm. I might deep fry some chicken. That'd be kind of fun. I might do like a chicken piccata. Maybe I'll do a stir fry. I don't know. I'm gonna use the chicken because the chicken goes bad tomorrow, or I have to freeze it tomorrow if I don't use it. So I got to use the chicken in my fridge. And there's a number of things I could do with it. I could do some chicken dip. I could, cook it and then shred it and add some mayo and hot sauce and butter. and make it into a buffalo chicken dip type thing. That'd be kind of tasty. I kind of dig that idea. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna involve chicken. It's gonna involve chicken. This is gonna be the one time. It's not really because I'm gonna mention it now. This is gonna be the one time where I don't want meatloaf for dinner because I had meatloaf yesterday and the day before. Because on Monday I made meatloaf, and then on Tuesday I made meatloaf sandwiches, and now I'm out of meatloaf, and so now I'm good. But I think I'm gonna do something with chicken and call it a day there. And look at that long podcast today. But anyway, thanks for listening to this ramble about moving. But I don't know, moving's crazy, man. Moving doesn't make no sense. Why can't we just stay in one spot? Like that'd be so much easier. And like not in like the weird VR like Ready Player One kind of stay in one spot. Like why can't I just not have to move all the time? I got too much stuff, man. But anyway, thanks for listening today, and I'll see you next time. I should probably figure out like a catchphrase to say at the end of these things. Oh well.